they all lived like that Cali girl stereotype.
Really?
They were so like, oh, I put this up 10 minutes ago and I only got 70 likes. I think I should take it down.
Really?
I was like, if I got 70 likes on a photo, I'd be like,
yeah.
I'd be like, go me. I would like call my mom. I'd be like, hey, Ma, guess what? And she'd be like, I don't understand what you're saying. I'd be like, just know, people like me.
I am the most popular here. We need to celebrate for it.
Exactly.
Anyways, guys, welcome back to the One More Podcast. I believe we're on episode 10, give or take, depending on the order of how things are uploaded. I've gotten criticism on how these are uploaded, unfortunately. So this is going to be kind of a special difference. It's not, it'll be just a conversation and everything, but there's a theme here, all right? And my guest with me, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Karis.
All
and
right.
I heard that we don't do last names, so.
Yes, to keep the identity, Karis, also, if you could speak up just a little bit
Just
more.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that better?
Yeah, it should be all right. But yeah, to keep the identity, because if we ever do get famous, we don't want people to connect the dots and find out potentially where I live or where someone else lives. So,
Yeah.
keeping that safe. Or 7 subscribers will will find us. So
8 after today now. I'm gonna subscribe.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Seriously.
But yeah, so today's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have like an open conversation like we had before, tangenting, all that kind of stuff, being loud, whatever. But generally the theme here today is that Karis is from New York. And I've kind of always had an interest in people moving from other states and then coming to Texas. And I've got a list of topics that we may get to, we may not, who knows. But I'm very interested and very curious. So do you want to speak a little to the audience and tell them who you are, what you like?
Sure. All my background, all my places that I live.
Literally the last couple hours we were talking, just recap that and go from there.
Okay, so start off. I know Yuval because we work together.
Yeah.
So now they will find us. Oh dear.
They'll track us where we are.
Yeah, but so I am from all over the place. So he thought he was getting New York, but really he's getting Tampa, New York, Lancaster, Nowhere, Ohio, and now Dallas. So,
awesome.
Oh, darn it. Told him again.
Oh,
Just kidding.
okay.
We're in San Francisco, Georgia, Atlanta.
Keeping the identity of this podcast safe.
Rochester.
Well, actually,
Cape Cod.
I think I have somewhere that we're in Texas at least, so we can't hide that much. So
It's all right. I was being general. It's a big place. There's a lot of people here.
That is very true. We actually just talking on a previous one about when we're talking to other people about where we're from, or either because a lot of my friends, we are active in the online community and stuff like that, playing video games or whatever, forums, anything like that. And so if we meet anyone or we're talking about where we're from, it's always like, oh, we're from Dallas. We won't say that we're from a specific city that is not Dallas, just because it's easier. And so I was just curious now that we're on the conversation. The same thing for you?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely generalize like every small suburb or outside city to the biggest city, the closest city that I lived in.
Did you also do that with your other states?
No, actually, I got the only place, New York. I refer to like the state New York. I think a lot of people associate that with the city, but it's that whole New York state of mind. So everyone from New York is from New York, even if you're not from the city. Sure. And that's the difference. It's like you call it New York City. I just call it the city.
Okay.
So you should obviously know which one I'm talking about because I grew up in New York, right? The city.
Obviously.
That's like a funny little culture thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I mean, same with the other states and stuff like that. You was just...
Actually, I lived in pretty urban places, so I actually did live like in the city.
Oh, okay.
When I lived in those, Nowhere, Ohio. That's not really a city, but
sure,
that was the city.
But now you're in more residential right now.
Yeah, I am in more residential now. So.
All right, so I mean, let's talk about that. How do you not like it? Like the shift? Did the change? Because I've never lived in the city before. I visited the only city that I've visited not constantly, but consistently to a point that I'd be familiar with it is Indianapolis. Every year in the past that we do a road trip or something for a convention, and so I'm familiar with that city. But I've been growing up in 2-story suburban homes my whole life, so
I miss the city, definitely. When I went to kind of an urban school for college, and the one thing that's really different is you could walk to get places.
Okay.
I love walking in like that kind of city life. You don't get a ton of space, but there's a good sense of like nightlife, and like you don't ever feel alone in a city, especially like with young people. You just feel like, oh, if I go outside right now, like I can talk to a homeless person or just, you're just not alone. Like you never cross the street alone. That's a big difference. Here, I can be out at my suburb home, and like if I come home after midnight, like I live across from a police station. Like the police will come over and be like, "Hi, do you live here? Like, what are you trying to steal?"
Wow, okay, yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot people. Like it's like a lot more vigilant. Like your neighbors will call the cops on you.
Yeah, I definitely like to say that residential life in Texas, we have a bedtime, and it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock is when everyone goes to sleep, and who knows, hooligans are up at 2 in the morning doing things.
Yeah, and if they are up, you need to be suspicious because, for the most part, to be honest, like it's not good.
Yeah.
In residential life. In city life, it's like, oh, I'm just getting coffee or going to this place that's open or going to the laundromat. Like, it's not super weird to run into somebody at Walmart at midnight. It's just like, that used to be the big joke is like, you'll see everyone at the Walmart at midnight in my city. Yeah. Like, that was just how it was.
Well, I mean, you go to Walmart here and you'll see some interesting people as well. I mean...
Yeah, but it was like, here's your neighbors that you won't see anytime except at midnight when you're at Walmart.
Yeah, I don't think... I think Walmart brings out the crazy people at night, not just regular
You're like, Joe. Oh, they're your crazy people. I'm like, oh, well, I guess my neighbors were all those crazy people. Like, I guess, like, I lived in the city of the part where you're like, people at Walmart. Like, that was my neighborhood, was the people at Walmart. So.
Okay. Well, so do you miss the aliveness of the city at all, or
definitely? I'll definitely move back to the city. Like I want to get more city central here. Okay. Eventually, right now, I kind of told you before, I have like a sweet setup.
Sure.
Residential life definitely has its perks.
Yeah, she's got like a 4-story mansion house. She's got
boat in the backyard.
Boat in the backyard.
But no lake.
No lake. Well, I mean, you got a golf course though.
That is always a perk. Yeah. No golf cart, but we have a boat. So.
There's actually, it's and it was such a weird concept that I was just discovering this, like especially in high school in Frisco. There's a neighborhood that actually has like a integrated golf course, and so a lot of the homes didn't have a backyard. And I've always grown up with a backyard, and it's so weird to think that there are places out there where you just step outside and there's the street, or there's a whatever, or there's my neighbor's house or something like that. So. Backyards, are you on that, or
that's definitely not something I'm unfamiliar with. Like backyards are like high-rise apartments, like yard. I mean, a yard is a luxury.
Sure.
I definitely see it that way. I have a yard now, and I grew up with a yard in New York. Definitely did not have a yard anywhere else that I lived though.
Okay. And so real quick to explain, in New York, you said it was North New
Upstate.
York. Upstate. That's
Upstate.
Right.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
North New York. There you go.
Upstate. The cool part with the dairy farms.
Oh, really? There are dairy farms in upstate New York?
Yeah, and you don't think of that, do you? It's like a whole like country population. I was not country, like at all. We were. So here's a little background in my New York, because I realize when I say my New York, I should write a book about it or something. But growing up in a small suburban community where it was educated, slightly wealthy, I thought, until I moved to Texas. I don't no longer believe that about that area at all. Yeah. But my town grew up because it was making, and it was a town. Like we were the village of. Oh, okay. So, it was like that small, it's like small town America. Like we had a diner that everyone went to. Wow. At, after the prom at 3 a.m. to get milkshakes and French fries. And we had the Erie Canal, and we had the island where all the concerts came. Yeah. But since it was like New York, like we had big names. Like I've seen a ton of really cool shows, like because people just come to that area because it's New York. Sure. So like the State Fair was like 20 minutes from where I lived.
Oh, that's awesome.
So always had outside travelers. Okay. And yet it still had this really small town feel, but it was like big.
Mm-hmm. So, this New York State Fair, how often, or have you ever gone to that, or
hundreds of times?
Really?
Hundreds of
Wow.
times. I think I was 16 until I was under 16 the entire time I went, because if you're
Really?
under 16, you don't pay.
Dang.
So we would be like 17 years old, putting our hair in pigtails and smiling real cute at the guards and saying, "Yep, we're 14."
Yeah. I've never been to a Texas State Fair, and I feel
no, it's coming up. We can go.
I mean, sure, that's fine. I think I might have been once when I was young, and it was before Big Tex got burnt down or whatever. But I don't know. It's not the drive or the distance or anything for me. I don't know. I was never huge on fairs and carnies and like.
Well, I'm going to say something that's going to maybe blow your mind,
All
but
right,
since
I'm
you're
ready.
not super familiar with the state fair, it might not.
I'm ready.
Everything is not bigger in Texas.
Really?
The New York State Fair was so much bigger than the Texas State Fair. I was shocked.
That blows my mind.
I was shocked when I went to the Texas State Fair because everything in Texas is so new and nice, and mostly it's the weather, keeping it like new and nice looking.
Yeah.
But when I went to the Texas State Fair, I was like, that's it. That's all there is.
You
like,
said
that's all.
That's it? Wow.
I did, because I was so shocked. Like, there's like one giant food court building. That's it. And I was like, only one? Like,
dang.
Like the New York State Fair is gigantic. It's like, and maybe I was just a kid and now I'm an adult.
Oh, and now it's different.
Or maybe there's less money because of like the recession. And so maybe the Texas State Fair isn't. But the New York State Fair is like a huge money maker for like not only the area I lived, but for people like they come up from New York City. Like this is people's vacation. They wait all year to come because like I know. And there was like free concerts. Like I remember when I went to the Lady Antebellum concert, there was 40,000 people there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't think the Texas State Fair has ever had anything like that.
Yeah. I don't even think there were 40,000 people at the Texas State Fair.
Probably not.
And I know there was 40,000 people at the Lady Antebellum concert the night that I went.
Wow.
It was like in the news the next day.
Yeah.
But so to be fair, that was unusual.
Sure.
Because they put it in the news. They wouldn't have put it. Yeah.
But I mean, still, you have a concert there. Whereas I think the Texas State Fair here is just, here's some stuff, here's some games, here's some food, bring your family, that's it.
Oh, no. I saw, let's see. Justin Bieber came. It's actually in the Justin Bieber movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually a big deal because he skips the concert. I remember that year in the Justin Bieber movie, he skips the concert in at our state fair.
Yeah.
And I remember when he skipped it and I went and I saw the movie and he's talking about, I'll have to skip Syracuse. That's where the state fair is.
Wow.
And, I lived that. I remember him not going and I knew I was going to go the next day. And I was like, if he reschedules for Thursday, I'm going to be so mad if he rescheduled for Thursday.
Oh my gosh.
So then it was just mobbed with like girls. And I remember feeling like, oh, it's not actually any different. Like everyone's still here because we would all still be there. Like because people don't just go to the state fair for one day for the most part. Like, especially if you live near it, like I would go to the state fair for like 2 weeks straight, just every day.
Wait, how long is the state fair supposed to be a thing?
It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks long.
Really?
Yeah. And you go like every day. And when I say like, so think about this, like at this state fair, like over the course of the time I went to it, I saw Neon Trees, Switchfoot, Train, awesome. Maroon 5, Gavin DeGraw, Lady Antebellum.
Wow. Holy moly, guac and cheese.
Like this is no small event. Like this is also probably the biggest Central New York concert series that they do the entire time. Like Rihanna's been there, Eminem's been there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Golly.
It's a big deal.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So I think that's the biggest difference between like the Texas State Fair and the New York State Fair is like that's all New York has. Like in that area. That's it. Like this is the shot. Like this is what we've got. And Texas is like larger than life anyway. And they're like, that's a fair.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like a bad Texan not knowing how long, because I'm pretty sure the state fair, I want to say the state fair here is only maybe a week or something, or maybe it's just like a weekend. But yeah, I don't think it's that long. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's big on every front. Like there's rides and shows and games and but like the midway. But then it's also a big it's the other half of New York. It's the whole upstate. It's horticulture. Sure. And agriculture and crafting and I don't know. A lot of people like that's their main source of like I don't know, business or spreading their business is just the state fair because
Wow.
they get exposed to so much.
That's insane.
And there's like trade shows there. Yeah.
Well, now I'm gonna have to fly to New York and go to the state fair whenever it's bumping.
Dang, we just missed it. It ended like 2 weeks ago. It
Oh, did
usually
it really?
goes from like the middle end of August to like the beginning of September.
Oh, well, damn. I have
So-
to wait a whole nother year, and it's every year. It's not
It's
like a
every year.
dang. Okay.
Watch, we go there and it sucks. It's, just
They're
like-
this is not what I was promised.
it's like downsized. You're like, why did I do this?
This is where I'm gonna have to subsidize, and we just have to go to the city.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
You know, this is so funny because like I didn't realize talking to you like but this whole night's been like nostalgic. It's like, oh, where did you grow up? How did you live? And I'm like, last time I talked about the New York State Fair because it's been over half a decade since I lived in New York.
Sure.
So it's been over half a decade since I've
Since you
been to
talked
the
about
fair.
it, yeah.
So like I haven't even thought about it.
Well, I mean, that's part of the we do the podcast is because I mean I think half the time on the other podcasts is we talked about like middle school and high school and just stuff that has happened in the past, and we just rehash it and then talk about that and our current views and opinions on it. So it's okay. We can be nostalgic. We can talk about the good old days of our youth.
Our youth.
But so then moving forward, I wrote down kind of the 5 W's of why you moved: the who, what, where, when, and why. So I think you answered the when. You moved from New York, and I mean, I guess we can expand it instead of talking about just New York, just kind of your traveling to when you end up here. So from your birth, I can't talk. You see, even with food in my stomach, I still can't talk. So from your birth to now, kind of I mean, I don't know. I don't know many people who like have been to multiple states since they were born. If anything, I think for a short period of time, I lived in Seattle, but that was like maybe a year, and then we came back here. So, was there a reason why, or is it just we love moving and we like not being in the same place?
So it's kind of funny you say that because like a lot of times when people say like, where are you from? And you're like, oh, all over. They go, oh, so you're Army. You know, that's like, I think that's like the initial thought a lot of people have, like, why would you leave if you liked somewhere? And for me, like, I always moved. I didn't know anything but moving because the first time I moved I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And so you kind of take that mentality of, oh, I'm not from here. You take that into your growing up. It's like this weird identity thing. Like, I don't belong here. Like, I know that I live here, but I don't have any family here. Everybody else does. I have a weird Southern twang, and everybody else kind of sounds like they talk through their nose. Like, so like when I think about that, it's just, and then we moved again and again. My parents in my life growing up, like my parents never acted like we were going to stay there.
Really?
So you never kind of had this finality of this is home. Even now, if you ask me like, where's home? I don't know. And like a long time in college, like I was homeless for a little bit. Homeless in the fact that I didn't have residency declared anywhere.
Oh, okay, sure.
That was a mess. Try and get a loan without having residency.
I could imagine it's pretty hectic.
It wasn't like I had a place to sleep. I just didn't have
an official declared.
I did not have a residential address.
Sure.
So that was like, yeah. So I kind of lived that gypsy life, and like I've bounced around, and my parents, like my dad moved for work. He works in homelessness, and surprise, there's homeless people everywhere. So basically anywhere there are homeless people, we have work to do.
Okay.
So
no, yeah, that makes sense. So if you don't mind me asking, I'm curious. So I know you're saying that you never felt tied down, and you never felt like you actually had this is where I'm from, because you ask me, oh, I'm from Texas, or whatever. Do you think that affected any friendships or relationships you had growing up? Just like, this might be temporary, so I'm not going to be super invested with these people. Or do you have people from, kids that you still talk to, like from your childhood? If you don't want to talk about it, it's totally fine.
It's totally cool. I actually, I think this is like the continuous question of my life, because like how I love people is really based on this. So I love people like hard and fast and easily. Like I'm definitely easy make friends because everyone's cool and everyone's got a story, and I want to see how they live and how it is here. But I'm definitely the type of person where I'm like, oh, we talk and we're great, and then we're away from each other, and I think we're still great. So I definitely don't think quality time is like that important to a relationship. And that's really hurt me in the fact that like a lot of people, believe it or not, they really value that quality time.
Sure.
And that was the biggest difference for me is like I would be friends with someone and we'd have like a really great day and then we wouldn't hang out for like 3 months. Oh. And then I'd see them again and I'd be all excited to see them and like we're great friends and they're just kind of like, you ditched me. Like, like, what do you mean you're a bad friend? Like you didn't call again or, you know, and I'd be like, are you like, I invited you to do this and you didn't come. And I'm like, but we're great. Like, but we haven't seen each other in like 2 months. And I'd be like, but nothing changed. So I'm really like someone like we could have this conversation now and then I move away tomorrow and then I see you like in passing. I'll think we're great. Yeah. As great as we are in this conversation.
Sure.
So I definitely just don't.
Well, we're not that great. We're kind of,
okay.
We'll build up to that.
Okay, we'll be like at this same mental level. Like I leave people there.
Right.
So,
no, I'm not even on your mental level though.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
Now you see where he's at. This troll over here on the. I mean, he's definitely trolling so hard. Just in case you don't know what that is, let me just tell the audience: a troll is someone who constantly just pokes or continues to make something out of nothing. Yeah, that's what makes them a troll.
Yeah, that's if you listen to a few of the podcasts, I'm definitely that way with my friend Blake. I mean, we've known each other for years, but
yeah, he says we're not friends. You hear that? And he's treating me like an old friend.
Yo, I mean, let's not talk about that for a second. But anyways, I don't know. I like being kind of an ass sometimes, so. I mean, it's all out of good spirit. So as long as you're not like gonna stab me whenever we're finished with this podcast,
it's lucky there's no visual with this.
I'm currently got a gun to my head, people. I sound calm, but if I
don't issue an SOS. He's not asking for help right now. Let me just clarify. He's fine.
But no,
that's what I said. I said you're fine, right?
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I am fine. I'm fine. Don't worry, everybody. This will go up at the scheduled time, and nothing's wrong, and everything's okay.
Unless you never hear it.
This is the unaired episode.
If you're the police listening to this.
Let's not talk about the police.
Okay, let's just move forward.
Okay, actually, no. We're just for like a split. Do you like the police? Are you cool with the police or? I mean, we're both white, so we have to like the police.
Get this. I liked the police, and then I got my first speeding ticket 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And so I'm going to not lie. Like,
wow.
My relationship with the police significantly,
decreased, bombed, horrible.
It was significantly strained by that experience.
So was he just being a dick?
Yeah, I was going 74 and a 70. You tell me.
Wow.
Passing a semi.
Oh my gosh.
And I got a speeding ticket. So I paid $200 and we'll be taking 6 hours of online.
Oh, that's safer. The best. The defensive drive. Have you picked a place to do it?
Oh, I'm not going to it. I'm doing it online.
Have you picked an online place yet? Okay. I did the Texas defensive driving or something like that. I have gotten a speeding ticket in the past before.
And he's a criminal.
Excuse me, I was once, and I was exonerated from it because I took the defensive.
Yeah, well, I'm about to be too, but
well, that's good.
Yeah.
No, but I think I was going maybe like 20 miles over. So
shoot, you are very lucky.
Oh well, no, okay, so
because 25 and you can't get it exonerated.
Is that the restriction? Because I'm pretty sure I was going to school and it was a 45, and I really because they've updated it since then, especially like in the Frisco area, but in Denton it was a 45, and I guess I was going 65 or maybe I was going 60, but because I was just jamming out and I was listening to my music and I was just like okay driving because I think I had a test that day and I was just trying to like not freak out and not focus or freak out and focus on kind of, I don't know. I'm not that great of a test taker. Anyways, aside from the point, there was a cop and he had a motorcycle and then he clocked me and I was just like, damn it. I hate it when people, cause I don't know. And this isn't about me. This is about you and your speeding ticket. I don't know how we got into this conversation.
I was enjoying it. What happened next? Tell me.
So no, he was just like, he was kind of and I guess Denton police are kind of like that because they have to deal with college kids all the freaking time. So he was just no BS, just like here you go, here's your ticket. And I tried to like talk my way out of it, and he was just like he didn't have any of it. He was just like here you go, sign here. Is this here? Oh, and I was like, but just. And I was like, ugh.
That was exactly my like very similar experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a speed trap.
Sure.
So.
Well, so where were you?
It was Labor Day, and I was like the only car on the road in Decatur.
Oh, that's like in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
That's in BFE, Texas.
And it was beautiful out.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess I just was feeling it. I don't know. So he says he clocked me in the 60.
Dang.
But
sure.
I looked it up. The 60 is like 10 feet long.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, it's made like that, and that's what those tiny towns, that's where they make their money.
That's true.
Outsiders who don't know where the changes are in speeds and
that's very true.
Things like that. Like, I wasn't going crazy fast. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I am the only car on the road, except it's me, the cop, and the semi. Like, that is it. And it's Labor Day, so it's the end of the month.
Yeah.
So I understand like why it happened.
Well, actually, should we even be talking about this? I mean,
you want to know the worst part about it?
Yeah, what?
Because this is why we should talk about it.
Oh, okay.
So I got this speeding ticket the Monday. I started working the Wednesday. Yeah. So we're not going to tell you exactly what we do, but here's a hint. I print speeding tickets. And Decatur called me because they were out of speeding tickets.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious.
That is amazing.
Yep. So I made the speeding tickets that I received.
That was amazing. Okay, because I was going to say, we work for things in relation to that, so...
Yes. I made my own infraction. Like,
that's amazing. That is so... Okay, if that's not, like, irony, I don't know what is. That's amazing.
I'm still salty.
That's like, amazing. And talking about it's probably going to make you even more salty, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not amazing, but it's amazing. So.
What's even worse is I thought that the officer that I was making them for was the same one that pulled me over. And I was about to lose it. I was like, this cannot be. But
Rashinda, you need to do this for me. I can't.
Luckily, they were not the same people.
Well, that's good.
But they had the same, like, very similar last names. That's why I thought it was the same. I thought it was the same when I got it. And I was like, what are the chances that I'm talking to the person? The person that gave me a ticket wants something from me.
Your voice sounds familiar. Did I pull you over? Yeah. Have I pulled you over before?
I was gonna be like, no, you can't have these.
There are innocent people receiving these, and you need to.
I didn't do it. I swear. No, but.
Anyways, we're getting back from the tangent of the tangent.
Of the tangent.
Oh yeah, no, it's a whole spiral of tangents. So.
It's cool. I enjoyed it. It was a story.
It was a story. So moral of the story, aside from the thing, you
don't speed.
Well,
get your tickets expunged.
I mean, is that what they're called? Expunged?
That's when it like doesn't show up on your record.
Is that the
do defensive driving? It's good for you anyway.
I mean, you can, depending on which online one you did, you can get it for your insurance, and you get lower insurance.
That's true. I'm going to get my ticket expunged, and I'm going to get lower insurance from this. So actually, who's the real winner?
That's true. I mean, you did have to
I'm just money. Out $250, so that's
a lot of money. I guess maybe it's because
that's including the cost of the
class, with the thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I guess we can stay on topic here, because now I'm curious. So, drivers are worse here, better here, out of all of the places you visited and seen? And...
Faster here.
Really?
This is like the first place where you're like bumper to bumper traffic, but you're all going 90. Like when you're going into the city, it's like super, super crowded and everyone's going 90. Like you're I don't know what to do. Like when I first moved here, it was overwhelming. I'm like, there's 5 lanes of traffic. I can hardly move and I have to go over 85. Otherwise I'm going to get run over.
Yes.
So
people will honk at you if you are in the left lane and not going 10 miles over the speed limit.
Yes. And it is frightening. And I thought driving in New York was bad. But it wasn't that bad. Like I would drive into the city like if I had to. Okay. Usually parking like honestly, like a lot of times you just leave your car in Jersey and then tunnel in or however you want to do it.
Sure.
But we would always drive out to the city.
Okay.
But then you usually leave your car like in somewhere right outside the city and then just kind of take city.
Sure, you can take the metro or whatever.
Yeah, train, bus, whatever you fancy. But
I fancy trains.
Yeah, they're great.
I don't like buses.
Yeah, but where I used to live in Ohio, Ohio, I have so many stories from there. But
Like
it was
stories
so
or
it
bad
was
stories?
urban. It was pretty urban.
Okay.
And Ohio, I don't know if you know this stereotype, but the roads are absolutely terrible.
You mean like in Denton and Dallas?
No. I mean, like, I busted multiple tires on potholes bad.
Oh.
Like, these roads, like, you could be a good driver, but, like,
Oh.
everyone, like,
Oh.
they have a joke, okay? It's like the cop sees the two guys driving on the road. He pulls over the one. There's one swerving all over, and then there's one driving straight. He pulls over the guy going straight and tests him for sobriety. Because like you wouldn't do that because the roads are so bad.
Sure.
Like you have to to swerve.
That's funny.
Like, have you listened to 21 Pilots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know "Tear in My Heart"?
Yes.
That song.
Yeah.
So Tyler Joseph wrote that, and that's like a shout out to like his home in Columbus. He's not actually from Columbus. He's from a small suburb outside of there. But like everywhere, the roads in Ohio are just crap. And like he sings about like, I'll avoid the potholes so you sleep fine. Like that is because like it is so bad. Like I laugh every time I hear that. Like I've lost 2 tires to potholes.
Wow.
And just potholes. Like I'm literally just talking about like where the ground's sunk in.
Right.
And like a small enough thing, and then you don't see it, and you just like, and your car's like stuck.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
And so people just drive crazy because it's safer than driving with the way the road is made.
Sure.
And nobody's fixing them. Like here, at least there's construction. Like you can tell, like there's like some effort there. I don't know what they do when they do road work. I don't know if I've seen road work.
Dang. That's okay. Now, but that's so hard for me because it's like in Denton, I've had like not crazy intense potholes as you're explaining now, but it's still so you know, you said you live close. Excuse me.
I've been to Denton, yeah.
Yeah. So how often you drive on 35? I don't know, but there's
every day.
Okay, every day. All right, so that's how you get to work. All right, so get to 35.
Oh no, now they know exactly where we live.
Okay.
It's over. Us and the other 9 million people on 35.
It's okay. But going from work to UNT, I would get on 35, and there was a point in time where, and I don't know if they were trying to pave over what it was currently on 35 or redo the roads, but like literally my car would be shaking, and I would like almost lose traction because of how crappy the roads were, and it was terrifying.
I know what you're talking about. Okay. Like when they took out that, I know exactly where it is you're talking about, and they took it out, and that was bad, but that was nothing.
Oh, that's nothing?
That
was gosh. That's it. Okay.
That was bad. Like, that was bad. Like, I remember that. I was like a little worried about like a pebble hitting my windshield. No, like you literally have to worry about like I remember the first time I moved there. So when I was a freshman, we decided to go up to another city to go out.
Okay. And
I was driving I was a DD because I was underage.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. You can't see me. I'm doing Scouts Honor right now.
She's doing Scouts Honor.
So I was driving one of the guys' cars, and I remember I'm driving literally with my hands at 12 and 6 because the car's alignment is off so bad.
That's bad.
Like, and yes, his car was crappy.
Sure.
But the reason it was so crappy and he didn't bother getting it fixed is because it would just do it again.
Sure.
It just, the roads are that bad. Like, I bought my first car there for $1,300.
Nice.
Because, like, that's what, it just matches.
Right.
Like, everything about that. It just.
Right.
It's
what kind
so
of
hard
car
to
was
describe.
it?
Ford Taurus.
That's cool.
It was really sexy. It was all rusty and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got a rusty car.
It was, it sounded great. And it was mine, and it was my first one, so you can say whatever you want. Yeah. It actually almost, and then that's an even greater story.
No, go
and
ahead.
then on 35, so there's the construction that we're talking about on 35. This goes right in. So I bought this crappy Ford Taurus that I did not think could do anything, but I drove it around like a queen. I drove it back and forth from Ohio to Texas 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I know. It had like 150,000 miles on it. I was surprised it didn't fall apart under my feet.
Dang.
And then when I lived here, I was driving on 35. This was like the first month that I moved back.
Okay.
And I was merging. There was a construction merge. It was like 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
And it was a very immediate merge.
Best
and
times.
there was a truck next to me, and I was in the far left lane. I admit I was going very fast. That car had a V6. I don't feel shamed. It might have been a piece of crap, but that's the other thing is nobody pulls over the piece of crap car because they're afraid they won't get started again. And then they'll have a bigger problem on their hands. I'm so serious.
No,
it's like a real thing.
You're right.
And so I was going really fast, and I was like, okay. And so I'm in the left lane, and I have to merge, and the truck, of course, speeds up to stay next to me. And they're like, you know, how they kind of play chicken with you. You know what I'm talking about. They're like, no, you slow down. So I was like, all right, fine. Hitting the brakes. There are no brakes.
Representation of brakes.
There was no brakes.
Wow.
The truck is not moving. I don't know what to do. In that split second, I just start taking out construction cones.
Dang.
Yep. Totaled my car. It was very frightening.
Wow. You didn't get hurt or anything, did you?
No. By the grace of God, there was no one working in that side zone at that time. And I had an entire mile to coast until I went from 80 to 0 and threw my car in park because I had no brakes.
Wow.
And I just kept hitting the cones, trying to slow my car down, like trying to get them kind of wedged between my car and the ground so I could stop.
Sure.
And I'm like crying and
holy crap,
pulling, and it's 35. So the other thing is, it's 6 a.m. on a Saturday. The rush is coming.
Yeah, there's still.
So then my car is stopped, and luckily the construction cones still go all the way around me. So I am luckily like dead stopped in a lane, like I can't get over sideways anything because I can't like unpark my car because I can't stop my car again if it starts moving.
Right.
And you know how cars just pull forward. So, and I stopped maybe 100 yards behind an officer that's like manning the road work. So he comes over and like, he just like yanks the cone out from under my car, and I'm crying, holding onto the steering wheel. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I was just crying because I didn't, like, I almost died. Sure. I mean, it's understandable, right? You go from 80, you have no brakes, like it's like a movie, and then you just start taking out cones. And in the movies, it's really funny when you hit cones. In real life, it's really loud and really terrifying and really scary and really, really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
And not only that, you're throwing them sideways, like into other cars.
Damn, I probably would have died. I would have been like, all right, I lived a decent life, I guess.
I mean, that's what I thought. Is I was like, oh, it's over now. Like, I don't know. And that's kind of one of those moments that like defines you, because literally I walked away without a scratch. From what should have been a really, I mean, you've seen 35. That should have been a catastrophic end of life accident.
Of course.
I should not have walked away from that, and I walked away from it completely unharmed, except that I had no car anymore.
And remind me, how long ago was this? You said it's when
it was actually almost a year ago. Oh my gosh, it was a year ago next month.
Wow. Oh, almost.
It was almost a year ago to the date. I think it was like, I don't know, somewhere in mid to late October. I wish I could remember. Your
yearly birthday, I guess. Potential death birthday.
It just it reminded me to be very grateful. And I'm actually feeling like really humbled right now to be really great, because those weeks following, that was some of the hardest time of my life in general. Because I lost completely all of my independence when I lost that car. I was in a new city, in a new town. And to be really honest, like, I was a college graduate, and now I had no car, a huge amount of debt, a lot of bills to pay. I didn't know a single person. Right. And I started working at a job I could walk to. Okay. And had to essentially, I had $125 in my bank account at this time. Dang. If I'm being straight with you.
Sure. Yeah. I'd rather you be straight than curved.
I don't know. Not gonna go there.
Separate podcast.
But yeah, I just walked to work, and I kind of built my way from the ground up. So I spent the next 3 months like walking to work, and I worked in food service, because asking for rides, just kind of like, you know, having like my college degree, I really thought it was going to be easier, but I couldn't do anything.
Exactly. All the jobs were not available to you.
And yet I was grateful to be alive, grateful to be able-bodied, grateful to not be like paralyzed.
Sure.
I really felt like I should have been,
So,
or something. Like I said, I walked away completely fine. Like I should not have been fine.
so I mean, the time leading up after that, I mean, because I've had and if you want, I can talk about this off camera, just because it's a little personal for me to share. But I've had a very similar experience where you kind of have to click reset, and where you thought you were, the progress you've made in life and everything, you just kind of say, well, that was kind of a waste, not necessarily in the literal sense, but you definitely had to start over. And yeah. For me, I'll definitely be open about it. I definitely felt kind of, for me, I think my experience put me kind of in a depressed state of mind, and I've kind of felt as if, well, where am I going to go from here? And it was definitely difficult for me to build that up, and kind of come from these ashes and build myself up. So, I mean, from you, it sounds like you kind of took the opposite twist on it, or did you experience it again?
I was definitely like I definitely lived in gratitude and depression. It's a crazy, it's a crazy mix, It was miserable and magical. Like it was. I felt very. Here's the thing: you feel like your life is spared. And so you're so grateful to be alive, and you're so grateful for all these things. And then that starts to fade, and your reality of like the hardship based on what happened sets in, and your situation. And you're like, if that one thing didn't happen, if I still had a car, if I would have, and you start to if or like this, or you're like, okay, so my life was spared to be this. This is what it's meant to be, right. And you like, that is depressing. I definitely went through that too. Like, and like we kind of talked about this earlier, like my faith is definitely something that like I rest in, but like, it's also something you wrestle with. You rest and you wrestle and you say, why me? Why this? How is this gonna work out? And for me, even now, like looking back on it, I would hate to do it again. But I definitely can take that experience and look forward, and like I know that I survive, and I know that like I've felt happy since then. I have been beyond.
You've bounced back, and
yes, I've found so much more in myself than I knew that I had, and not only that, but like I have so much more now than I ever thought that I had at that point.
Okay,
which is like insane because I thought things were good. But even now looking at it, like what I thought I had and what was good, I've been given better.
Yeah, it's definitely, tell me if you agree with this, but it's definitely the might of human strength and persistence and, our vitality definitely gets challenged when push comes to shove, where, as long as ABC is fulfilled, we'll be okay and we can be strong and we can continue. But as soon as B gets scooped out from under us, then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, and I think that's like the basis of like all that, what you're saying is the exact basis for why people have faith in something beyond themselves, is because people are so tied to their circumstances and so tied to what they believe or think or whatever, that as soon as you remove some kind of foundational, fundamental element, they need to believe that there's more than what is still left.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's the basis for every religion, I think. Like everything. The basis for everything is like, because if this is all there is, like, there's no point.
In your experience, have you found yourself mostly questioning, and not to say that questioning is bad or anything like that, but in when push comes to shove and reality slaps you in the face, have there been instances where you question, or you just say, okay, if this happens, it happens, and if this is my path and this is where I'm meant to be, then that's what it is. Or,
yes.
Or are you definitely like, why me? And I'm not saying having that mentality, because I mean, I think it's definitely to have to have an kind of a almost third person experience and kind of see you in a more holistic point. It's good to question, but as someone who I'm assuming you practice and stuff like that within your faith, you sometimes just say, okay, yes, that's...
Yeah, you definitely have to submit, but it's a constant conversation. It's a conversation just like this one. It's, why did that have to happen? Why is it so blah, 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 blah? But okay. But okay. And like continuous okay. And then, but you don't say like, but okay. And then you go, but... Right. And you go back and forth. It's not just like a one and done. And I think that's like the biggest misconception. I even forget that the conversation doesn't end right there. It's constantly like for me at least, it's constantly like, why me? Okay, I accept. But then the next thing happens and it's why, and then I accept.
Okay.
And you constantly go through it. And the other thing is like, sometimes your questions get answered. And sometimes you really like the way they're answered. And sometimes you're answered. And like, to be honest, like, it's horrible. You're like, oh, so this had to happen because this and that. And like, you see it as like necessary, but you don't see it as good. And that almost leaves you like just questioning more. But then you always come back to that same full circle, but okay.
Okay. So it's kind of a give and take and not necessarily pick your battles, but definitely...
Cyclic.
If you focus on one issue or one problem or one, something that happens in your life, then you're gonna drive yourself crazy just
absolutely
fixating on it.
If you don't keep moving forward, that's the other thing is like, you have to just move forward no matter what you're doing, because it's never good to obsess, and like if you're looking backwards, you don't see what's coming at you.
Well, so then let me ask, this just kind of popped in my head. In terms of moving forward, I full-heartedly agree. I think it's definitely living in the shadows of your mistakes and living in the past, essentially, is definitely not... You can't grow as a human, and you can't expand, and you can't learn, and, you become less... At least to my extent, I think you become less of a person. Not that extreme literal sense, but still. But in terms of moving forward... the limitations there, where if you made mistakes in your life, is there a point where you just drop it and say, okay, those were mistakes, go forward? Or how much how much thought do you put into your mistakes or the life events before you just say, okay, I'm done, let's move on?
Oh, we're about to full circle.
All right.
We're totally about to go back all the way.
First circle. I love it.
So you talked about how, for me, I'm definitely the type of person who says, that happened, that doesn't define me. And so I am moving forward and I'm going to change my current reality. Or I'm going to allow my current reality to be changed by this. And I think one of the biggest things that determines your reality is what you talk about and what you put out there. Okay. If you meet new people and you don't tell them about something that's happened to you in the past, they never ask you about it. And therefore you don't think about it. And so you have other conversations.
Right.
And I'm not like hiding my background. It's just that was like a mistake. So I'm leaving it where it was. Okay. If that makes sense. When you say like mistake. No, that makes sense. And I've also been fortunate enough to, since like I said, like I moved around quite a bit. Constantly coming into contact with new people. Not that I got to reinvent my identity, but I got to leave behind mistakes completely. Leave behind people and mistakes completely. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't get the luxury to do. Okay. If you always live in the same place and always see the same people, then it's pretty hard to not live in their changed opinions. Like if you have like a falling out, say like you have like a relational mistake or something with someone, if you still are in relationship with that person or like in contact with them, even if it's just geographically, things are different because it's affected that. And you can like leave it behind. Sure, you can say that was a mistake and like move forward. But the fact is like that mistake still affects how that relationship. Right. And if that relationship is still existent in some form, it affects how things are. Sure. Whereas if you completely move away, that relationship, whether you moved away or you didn't, it's changed because you completely moved away. So even if that mistake hadn't happened, you're still leaving that relationship.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I agree, and that does make a lot of sense. But in my head, I don't know if that's just the cynic in me, but it kind of seems like a cop out a little bit. Where sure you can understand the dynamic of the relationship and you can analyze where it went wrong and what happened, but if you're just gonna and not to your fault or whomever's fault, but you just say, okay, I'm leaving and now I'm gonna exit this circle, and that's the resolution. I won't be able to make any resolution because I'm gone. So I don't know. I just think it's kind of like to get the relationship or friendship or whatever, to get that fixed to how you want it to end. Shouldn't you stay in contact with that person? Or do you think, or what you're trying to say is, I'm saying what you're trying to say, I don't know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but or you're saying, whether you like to believe it or not, if you move and you're kind of that distance separates that, and so you might not even be able to fix that relationship.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's taken out of your control a little bit.
Okay.
And the fact that like you might have made this mistake or done this thing, but you don't necessarily have to live with that consequence.
Okay.
Because you live something else now, and
Sure.
you live somewhere and something else. And where you say like it's a cop out, definitely. And you remember we were talking, we literally full circle.
Yeah.
And I said relationships are different for me because for me that feels like a very valid option.
Mm-hmm.
Always feels like a valid option. Well, I can leave.
Yeah.
Nothing's holding me here.
Sure.
Oh, this is so bad. Well, I'll just go make new friends.
Right.
I know what it's like to make a new circle. I don't care. Like I do, but
it's always a back door for you. It's always an option.
And I feel, and not only that, but I don't feel like it's a wrong option.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's the wrong thing to do always. I think even in some circumstances it's healthy, and every person in every relationship, I'm not saying, oh, that should be for you, and I'm not saying this or that. I think often like yes, that's not the most healthy way to deal with things. I agree. Mm. That's not the most healthy way to deal with that in any and every, but I think in some circumstances that is the most healthy thing to do. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, just
No, I mean, it makes sense. And so I'm assuming because you've been moving around and everything like that, you've kind of developed this, because for me, I think my biggest issue, I've lived in Texas my whole life, grew up with the same people. Hell, Robert and Tristan, those are people that I knew in elementary school. Tristan I actually grew up with Tristan in elementary school, and, sure, our relationship has gone up and down in the past before, but generally speaking, I've always known, I'm relatively close with him my whole life. And so it's kind of weird, you can call it a full circle, whatever you want, but now I grew up with him and now we're roommates, and where our future continues from there. So having that back door or leaving or just saying, wiping my hands clean, saying I'm done, that never occurred to me. I'm not opposed to that option in relationships and friendships and stuff like that, but that never occurred to me ever. I'm here.
Yeah.
Sure, you live in Plano and I live in Frisco or whatever, but that's, it's still only a 20-minute drive, so it's not that far. It's not like a whole state or whatever, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting that you have that concept of, it's part of your repertoire of options when creating circles.
Oh yeah, it's bad. I got accused of it when I said like I had a rough time in college because I came from that background of like, oh, you're not staying here, moving, mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I've always taken that into my relationships. And in high school, I think it was a little different because there was this mentality of, oh, we're all leaving.
Right.
Oh, everyone's going to go to college.
Sure. Everyone's
and
splitting
fracture
ways.
And
mm-hmm.
I think there is kind of that finality there. And if you guys stay in touch, great. Mm-hmm. But nobody has, maybe there were 2 people that expected to stay in touch with me, and they have.
Oh, okay.
There are 2, I do admit, like I have 2 friends that really, I admit I'm not the one that calls them. They call me.
Sure.
But they call me. And I answer.
Sure.
And so I have those friends. And when I went to college, people had to teach me that. Mm-hmm. Like I have a few friends from college that are definitely better friends than I've ever had in my entire life. And they had to honestly teach me how to be a friend that stays.
Right.
Because for me, where I said, like, I just moved on. Like, I'd be like, oh, we're cool. We're having a great time. Like, it's fine. But they had to teach me how to stay at the table. Mm-hmm. This phrase is stay at the table when times get rough. Like, because for me, it was just like pick up and leave. Summer vacation. Okay, bye. Let's start again next fall. Mm-hmm. They taught me what it was to sit, work through things. And not only that, to take breaks and come back and accept people. Like, oh, this happened and like, we still accept you. And we don't agree on it. And we don't agree about the way it went down, but we're cool.
Wow. So you think you'd use that as an excuse in previous relationships where you say, oh, you're not quite the person I thought you were, or we disagree on something that I hold close, so I'm gonna just move to a different circle or whatever, as you said.
Yeah, I think I just never really let people get that close.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just didn't ever want anyone to like.
Sure.
I was like a social butterfly that bounced around and didn't really let anyone.
Right. It is all kind of...
Yeah, and when it got hard, okay, I'm going to start making new friends over here. I already kind of was friends with them before, but now things are getting kind of hard over here, so I'm just going to kind of...
bounce around.
We'll stay friends, but like, let's not...
It's all...
You get what I'm saying? Like, leaving before it gets bad was more my thing. Not necessarily leaving when it gets bad, but like feeling the tension, and so pulling out. Yeah, and just kind of like...
No, I understand, and I say this, and I don't mean to have a negative connotation on this, but like being very shallow relationships, you never really got to fully explore the grit and the gross and the what makes people.
Exactly. Okay. No, that's true, and I like that's why my best friend is my best friend now. The girl that is my best friend, like, that I'm friends with, like, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary.
Aww.
I know, it's so cute. Some people are like, you've only had a best friend for 3 years. Yeah, okay. It was hard for me. It wasn't easy like some people.
No, I think real quick before we continue, I'm sorry for interrupting, but
sure.
I think, and we've had this conversation before on the podcast, but for me, having a friend and then elevating to that quote unquote best friend level, and I think there's no time limit. If you vibe with someone and you have similarities and you share the same interests or the same values, I think instantly you can become really close with someone within the first few months of meeting them. It's a time limit. I don't believe there's a time limit.
Well, that's perfect that you said that, because that's how it was.
That's awesome.
I met this girl and it got hard, and she just like, that's when exactly we became super, super close, super fast night. It was kind of. I never expected it to last, but the way she loved, like her, like loved in like a friend way.
Sure.
She kind of like taught me like, hey, this is no, like we're gonna like the moment I start to pull away, she pulled in.
Okay.
And it was uncomfortable and it was hard, and I was like, oh, this is what friendship feels like. I don't know if I really like it.
Yeah.
But yet we've been able to experience like a deeper level of friendship, and I don't know. It's like really mushy and gushy, but
no, it's all good. I mean,
if it's not relational, it's not worth it.
Sure. No, and I mean, this is what makes us human, and this is our characteristics and how we've changed, and even going back to the tree stump and the rings around the tree stump.
Yeah.
It's how we're changing, how we're developing, and how our mind. Because I mean, technically speaking, our minds aren't fully developed until we're 25, and then at that point, what happens when we have a different perception of our reality and the relationships we take for granted and the people that we see and talk to, it's astounding that it can all flip, and I think that's what's so amazing about having really, really close friends and having these relationships and working on it and growing and developing it. And I use the flower example, but it blossoms into something just amazing, where now 3 years later and our view of the world is different. Well, how are those relationships withstanding this, not necessarily a pain or whatever, not necessarily the downfall of our swapping viewpoints, but I think definitely, for example, since I was 16, I've changed and flip-flopped my ideas, and everything that's happened in my life. I'm a completely different person. You've all going into high school, so different from now. And I actually, one of my, to this day, best friends that I talk to every day, and we're chatting and we're always sharing ideas. He's followed me through that. And, you know, he's grown as well, and I've grown. And I think it's just amazing that as humans, you know, I'm not trying to sound all pretentious here now, but I think it's just amazing that as humans, we can pick and choose those we associate with and then evolve, change. And now it's like, oh, you're still here? Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And what's even crazier is like they change too, though. You're not friends with the same person you were friends with 3 years ago.
That's true.
Like, that's not the same person. They don't live there anymore. Like, you even just think about, like, taste, likes, music. Like, we bonded over the fact that we both liked, I don't know, something stupid, but we don't even like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, part of our friendship was built on, like, this shared interest of things that we no longer share.
Right.
Like, we're no longer interested in that. And, like, or maybe, like, they still are and you aren't. And, like, that's the coolest part about all of it is, like, because it's built on liking someone, but it's not just liking them and having things in common.
Sure.
Which for me, that was all friendship was.
Yeah.
Prior is a lot of it was just, oh, we're just, you know, we do the same things. We go to the same places and we like to talk together.
Right, of course.
But if I didn't go to this place and do these things, would I call you? Probably not. And like having someone teach you, no, you still call me.
You have to make an effort.
Like there's this whole level of like, oh, okay. And like I had this friend who I thought was really, he's been my friend since I was, oh my gosh, we grew up together. Like he lived down the street from me in New York. It's a boy. And I don't really think that boys and girls can be friends. That's a whole nother topic if you wanted to get into that.
Wow, okay.
I think they can be friends. I don't think they can be friends like the way that he and I have been friends. And so it's constantly like this hypocritical contradiction because I hold in my head that this isn't possible.
Yeah.
And yet it's totally possible.
Sure.
Like our families grew up together and so I've just known him forever and he still calls me like once every 2 weeks. Sure. Just to talk. Yeah. Just, hey, how you doing? Yeah. You know, and like we have such a deep friendship that like at one point I was like, are we in love? And then I was like, wow. No, that'd be disgusting. Like that made me like vomit in my mouth. Like, no, like, and I know he feels like the same way. Like, it's just it's just not that way. And I could not understand it. And I still like, how does this work? Why does this work? Like, why are we friends? And it's exactly as you said. It's like the idea of like, we were just there through all of it because he lived down the street. We rode the bus together for however many years. We had it's like family. Like you were just there.
So now would you consider him like as close to be like a brother you never had or anything like that?
I have 2 brothers. He's a lot nicer than my brothers.
A nicer brother from down the street.
Yeah, I'm more like a cousin. It's just like someone you've known so long you can't unknow them.
Sure.
You know, in the idea is like...
So when you're 40, he's still going to be calling you once every couple of weeks saying...
To be honest, probably.
Hey, how you doing?
Like, and, you know, people meet him and they see it, they understand, like, you can understand when you see us together. It's not weird and flirtatious. Like, some people, they go, oh, he's my best friend. And they're like, like, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure. We'll see if you're still best friends next year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but we've known each other for 19 years.
Wow.
So, almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
It's just a little different. It's just... like I've peed in front of this person. Like it's just not.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Like once, twice? No, I'm sorry. We're taking a break. We have broken the stream of consciousness. You have peed in front of another person.
Yep. I was sleeping over and I woke up and I had to pee and I was like, well, I can wait because it's so warm and I'm so comfortable. And the next time I woke up, I was peeing and I was like, I'm sorry, I just peed on your couch.
Whoa. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm not going to drill you anymore.
I'll like make it like, I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but as younger than now.
This was a month ago. No. Okay. All right.
No, but I mean like, it's like that level of like, we went through like embarrassingly like everything. Like you just, I don't know.
Well, then I mean, I just for me, it's just you have to develop some kind of attachment to that, and you have to, you know, whether or not this relationship is platonic or deep down, you have some sort of affection to him. But I feel like, I feel like that's what bonds us is,
yeah,
you go through similar experiences and you say, oh, well, this person understands how I feel, and I'm sure you understand how he feels. And so you have this mutual, and I'm not trying to like say you're in love with him. Why can't open your eyes? You're in love with this person.
Oh my gosh. I'll play this segment for him and he'll cry. He'll just think it's so funny. Like, because it's just, like I said, like if I could explain it, because I hold this contradiction so dearly, like this is not possible. This does not happen. And yet
it's happening.
I feel like it's life's like whole, like kicking me in the face. Like you don't actually know anything. Sure. You can't. But it's just, it's what you said. Mm-hmm. Like where you're like, this was my best friend for this many years. We're not best friends and we don't call each other. We call each other oldest friends, but we're not. It's just we understand each other because a lot of that stuff, like, I don't know. It's like we have this weird foundational, fundamental early life understanding perspective.
Sure.
And even though we've gone years and years, like, not living in the same place or the same time, like, we can call up, like, you just
pick up, like, it
like
was yesterday.
We left off. Yeah. And sometimes we do. Like, I swear, like, we're talking and we're still 12.
Sure. No, I can definitely relate to that. I have a friend similar, not as long as 19 years, but definitely probably somewhere. I think we met around middle school. Same situation. My dad knew her dad, and it was just like we just grew up and we shared very, very close experiences together. And she knew all of my shit, and I knew a lot of her shit, and it's same type of deal where it's this relationship forms and we don't talk to each other for months and months because I'm busy, she's busy, whatever happens in our lives, and then as soon as we start hanging out, it's like nothing. It's like kind of the same thing with your before with your friends where you don't see with them and then you think you're just okay, you're totally fine, everything's great. Same thing with her. It's just, oh hey, okay, well, how are we doing? And
everything is great, right?
Exactly. So
yeah,
no, I definitely share that same mentality of having a weird relationship like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call it weird, but.
And it's definitely like, it's funny that we're bringing it up now because like those are like the kind of relationships you try kind of not necessarily to hide, but not to talk about because you're like, unless you know me, you don't understand how this works.
Right.
Like everyone, for me, I get really sensitive to how people judge that from the outside. Like, oh, like, what is this? Like, is this something you're hiding or this?
Oh, I'm judging so hard right now.
Yeah, okay. Judge. Go for it. It's fine. You'll probably meet him.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, really, though. Like, I, like, say that, and then, yeah, because that's the other thing, is we always make time. Sure. Every place I've lived.
Mm-hmm. You've always made time for this person.
He's come to visit.
Oh,
like,
wow,
he's visited.
Sure.
But it's not just him. It's like he'll bring his dad.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I'm friends with
okay.
the family. Like,
yeah.
When some things went down in my home, like, I lived with their family for a little while. So
okay.
I guess when you say, like, is it like a brother? It's like family. I would easily go to them with, if, like, my family died, like, easily they would
they would take you in?
They would be here for me.
Wow.
I don't know what they would do for me, but they would be there.
Well, if they don't take you in, then they're not family. Just kidding.
They would take me in. I'm an adult. I don't think I...
Sure.
I might go... I honestly probably might go spend like a week or two with them.
Just kind of recoup and refresh. I mean... Definitely.
That kind of put like a better... yeah, my whole family died. But that is like, when I think about it, like that does seem like a super logical... Now that you put it, like, I guess it is kind of like family because, like, that does seem logical to me. Yeah, like, if I was in crisis and, like, for some reason my family wasn't there, to be honest, like, that is probably the first place I would call or go.
Wow, okay.
So
yeah, it's like an extended mafia family.
Exactly.
You're not related by blood, but you're related by whatever you want to do crime together.
I mean, they like fed me half of my like lunches growing up. Wow. Like, they fed me half the time.
No one feeds me.
Maybe that's where it comes. It's just the food.
It's all about the food.
I'm like a dog. Like, if you feed me, I love you.
You fed me. Are we friends? Are we
family? Did you guys know that you've all fed me before we did this? That's why I'm here right now.
Yeah, realistically, that's the only reason why I can get people to come over is I have to feed them.
Oh, well, cool. I didn't know there was going to be I knew there was going to be food because you told me there was going to be food. So that was a big pull, but you said this first. So so you know. So sure. I hope you know that was like in good faith. So
she's here for the podcast. The food was just an extra. That was it.
Yeah. There we go.
Really good food.
It was wonderful.
Honestly, let's take a quick second to sponsor Olive Burger. There's one in Plano, one in Richardson, off of Arapahoe near 75. I don't care. You guys can know where it is. It's amazing. That was 30-second sponsor for Olive Burger. I don't have any sponsors. I need sponsors. But anyways, we were talking about cops and
and tickets and cops.
Let's see. I think we actually covered a lot of the stuff. I mean, did you have any closing remarks?
Any closing
I know we kind of just
comments?
at least on that topic.
No,
that's it.
I just judge my relationships, guys. It's fine.
Sure. I mean, everybody will.
I think it's really funny how we were like, we're going to talk about places, and then we just talked about people. And we didn't even talk about really specific. We talked about a couple specific people, but for the most part, we just talked about the way we think about people, care about people, and the way people interact with us. And and just relationships. And I think it's so funny. Everything in this whole world just comes back to relationship. It's like you can talk about where, what, or this or that, but then it all comes down to, but why? Because people. Because people this, because people that. I don't know. It's so cool.
Well, I was looking at my list, and we've kind of covered really everything, other than, do you miss dollar pizza?
Oh. There's no dollar pizza here?
There's no dollar pizza.
To be honest, I hadn't searched it out because the pizza's been so bad.
Really? You don't like the pizza here? You've been having bad pizza then. There are places that'll have good pizza. I've been told, though, from other perspectives.
Prove it to me. Because I have yet to find good pizza.
Well, like, if you go to, like, Pizza Hut or, like, CC's or something, of course you're going to get bad pizza. But there are, like... I know there's a place in Plano, and, like, legit, this Italian guy moved from New York to do a New York-style place. And he has a whole stone brick oven and everything like that. So there's...
But that sounds like fancy pizza. Where is your delicious, greasy... like saucy pizza,
cheap pizza.
It's so like I just miss picking up pizza for supper. Like,
I mean, you can still do that here.
No, you can't. You get like bread that has stuff on it.
And that's not pizza everywhere else.
It's just not New York pizza. I just feel like we need to go on a trip now after this whole conversation. Like,
just hit everything.
There's so many things I need to show you, or you just need to experience.
I've had New York cuisine and stuff like that, and I think it's really like I was talking to you before about the K-Town or whatever. That was really good. I have had dollar pizza, and that was really like dollar pizza and just a dollar Coke and just combo it. It was really good.
And even if you're not doing Coke, if you have like a beer with that,
oh yeah,
just.
Okay.
New York state of mind. There you go.
Hold on, real quick. Now that you've brought up beer, now that you're cool and we can talk about other things.
Now I'm cool because I drink beer. I just threw that in there so you'd think I was cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't actually have a favorite beer or anything?
Oh, I do.
Oh, what's your favorite?
It's Revolver Blood and Honey.
What is that?
It's like...
Is that a New York thing?
No, it's actually, I had it here.
Really?
And I just really loved it, and I just drink it a lot.
Is it like... excuse me for my lack of knowledge. Is it like a... yellow is it a yellow beer or is it a darker
it's yellow.
Okay,
it's definitely yellow.
Have you had like Dos Equis before?
No.
Dos Equis is really good. That's my go-to beer. That's my favorite
okay
beer.
Well, I'm willing to try anything. I really like beer.
I mean, don't say that because we're gonna go to Walmart right now at 9:30 at night.
Yes.
I'm being 100% serious. Now that you've put beer in my mind, I'm probably gonna. I mean, father, if you're listening to this, I don't drink beer like an alcoholic. I'll just have it every now.
We just appreciate it. There's a craft.
It is a craft. It is a craft.
Like coffee. If you drink coffee and you're against beer, like, I don't know.
Do you like coffee? Like, I know we're kind of getting into vapid topics, but do you like coffee?
No, I like coffee. I drink coffee.
I mean, I know
I was a barista at Starbucks for a very long time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like you don't have to be a coffee fiend to work at Starbucks. Unless
it was kind of developed just through education. I think if you become very educated on something, you can find respect for it. Okay. And if you find respect for it, then I think respect and admiration go hand in hand.
Okay.
Whether you actually like admiration doesn't necessarily mean affection. You can admire something without feeling like affectionate towards it. However, I like it. I really like coffee. I like the concept behind it. Mm-hmm. I like how it brings people together.
Okay. Wow. So more of just an icon versus just caffeine.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be caffeine. I like what it's done to American culture as well.
Wow,
I think like coffee culture.
Sure.
Like think about it. That's why we're friends. Remember? I met you at coffee hour.
Is that how
I met you at coffee break. That was the first time we talked.
That I don't know. Was it for my birthday?
No, I definitely. The first time was with Ricky in the break room, and you were coming off of being sick.
Yes. And
you were alive, and you stopped in the room as we were having coffee break.
Ah. Okay.
Sorry, I remember these things.
No, that's okay. One thing you'll learn about me is I have very, very bad memory. I remember themes, concepts, ideas, but like it astounds me where my friends will be like, "Hey, do you remember this one time at 11:37 p.m. on a Saturday where you said this one thing or you did this one thing that was really funny or it was really stupid?" And I'm thinking, okay, hold on. I don't even remember what I did Saturday. Hold on, wait. What did I do that month? Hold on, wait. Because I don't know. I mean, you could attribute it to a lot of things, but...
Well, yeah, and you were pretty sick still at that point. I remember.
Oh, I was? Okay.
Yeah,
so then,
you were sick on Monday, and then
you
came in the next day, and they were like, Ricky asked you if you were back from the dead, and I think you blew your nose, said something, and then you were kind of... I'm sure other things happened.
That sounds like
other things happened, but the other thing is, why is that the only moment I remember from that day?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Because it was important. Because I was alive.
Clearly, yeah, we were very excited that you were alive.
That's good. I'm glad that people care. I don't know. I like, sorry, we're tangenting, but I like The Office, how they just kind of seems, pending a few people, it seems pretty homey and like everyone is at least watching it. Because, I mean, Jeremy's really chill and stuff like that, so. Yeah,
the first day I had to call in sick, I was like frightened.
Oh, really?
I was like, well, because, I was still new and I was like, shoot, I'm like, but I mean, there was nothing I could do. I was having an allergic reaction.
You
like
were dying,
I could, like, even if I would have showed up, they would have sent me home.
Sure.
Like, and everyone would have been like, oh, we don't understand.
Sure. You just now got the whole office sick. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, that on top of like the allergic reaction, I was not exactly sober.
Wait, allergic reaction to what?
Fire ants. I didn't tell you this. So I had like
you might have mentioned. I feel
in
like
conjunction with a huge sinus thing,
uh-huh.
which I think is almost like what you had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I got bit by a bunch of fire ants, and I am ridiculously allergic, which I did not know.
Oh.
And so
I mean, I feel like that's okay. Not many people go their lives after being bit by a fire ant. Like that's kind of
it wasn't like one, it was like 30.
Okay.
You can still kind of see on my ankle, like I had to go see a doctor for it, and now I'm potentially like I'm like an EpiPen candidate. It's
wow, okay.
Like it was a really serious reaction, and I didn't feel bad either because Peter came in and I couldn't wear a full shoe because my foot was too big, so I was wearing like ballet flats where my foot was just like barely in the top of it, and like I like turned and showed him, and I was just like, yeah, this happened yesterday, and I like was like popping Benadryl at work like they were. Sure. Like they were breath mints.
Yeah.
And at one point, like I just like I looked at like the second day, I was like, I'm sorry, I don't even know if I should drive home, but I'm going to. Like I'm leaving now. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon, and she just looked at me and she was like, I think that's a good idea. So I just but we are really lucky to be in an office where people care, because I was so nervous, but everyone saw and they were like, no, you don't belong here. You should go home.
Yeah. Trying to think. I guess move on to another topic, unless you have anything. Nothing?
All the love to our office homies, that make you feel welcome.
Everyone needs to stop with the love.
No love.
But there's cubicles for a reason, man. Divide us.
Literally, I don't even understand. Like, if that was the only time you met me and you knew I was from New York, like...
What?
That was it?
What? From just talk like rumors / talking in the office?
Yeah. I remember like you asked me to do this podcast and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty random, sure. But like, and you're like, yeah, no, I didn't even remember meeting you, and I was like, wait, but
well, okay, I say that, but like no, I mean, I obviously remember meeting you, but like I wouldn't until you say, "Oh yeah, it was coffee," because now I do remember I was wearing my UNT shirt, and you're like, "Do you go to UNT or whatever?" Like I remember that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh 20, yeah. And then now, there you go. Okay,
turning the tables. You see, I remember things. I just you kind of have to jog my memory. But no, honestly, I probably learned more about you through Tony. Because he was just like, "Hey, did you know your sister or whatever did this thing, whatever?" And I was like, "What? Oh, okay, I know what the joke you're trying to." Okay, all right, thank you, Tony.
It was Tony.
It was all Tony. Tony's the reason why you're on this podcast today.
Oh my gosh, Tony.
All right.
You should totally troll him on Monday.
Feel like, yeah, actually, we are related. We did a family tree lookup, and
we should totally do that on Monday. Cousins. Be like, guess what? Yuval and I hung out this weekend, and we realized that, like, I brought him to my house, and he was like, wait, he knew my mom, because turns out...
That would be amazing. Probably wouldn't work, but it'd be amazing.
I think it'd work. I'm really good at this game. I don't think you understand.
Oh, really? You're good at the deception and
yeah, and your beard's kind of red. My mom's got red hair.
Oh, okay. Boom.
It's perfect. We got it.
All right, so... One thing, because we're pushing almost an hour and a half, by the way.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Well, no, I mean, I don't have I've had podcasts that have gone way longer, but it's getting a little late. Anyways.
Yeah, it's like 6:30.
I have to go to bed in an hour.
Yeah.
So just to close it off, because like I said, I think we hit a lot of while we just having our natural conversation, but lingo / common quirks that you saw in people in other states, because since now this isn't a New York focused, but like in an Ohio or California or New York, the kind of personality traits that you'd see versus here. Because I mean, we
should just do this like word association.
Okay,
ready?
All right.
So if you start with like Texas, y'all, warm, friendly. You go to Ohio, say these ones, you guyses.
Really?
And just, I would say...
Are people nice in Ohio?
They're like nice, but how do you say, like, they treat you friendly, like you're one of them, even if you're not, but they ostracize you with their talk at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they kind of like treat you like you're dumb. Like they'll be nice and friendly, but then they'll use big words.
Perfect example. I went on my college visit and I said, so how big are class sizes? The girl looks at me and says, like the size of your high school.
Okay.
In my high school, I had 12 people in my bio lab, 150 people in my gym class, and 50 people in my English seminars.
Wow.
So I say this to her and she goes, yeah, like your high school class. Like, assuming I should know what a high school, an average Ohio high school class is, and that, like, I'm on that level with her.
Yeah. And
she had no idea, like, on being from out of state, like, it was as though it had never occurred to her that there could be anything different than her experience.
Sure.
It's like a very, like, where I say, like, very small town, hometown, like, they were all from their hometown, and they were going to go back to their hometown when they were done with school.
Wow, okay.
It was, like, crazy. So anyway, but, like, warm and nice. But, I don't know, what do you call it? Humble?
I mean, it sounds more like selective and...
Yes, selective. New York was, like, very, like, oh, that's nice. It's, like, very, like...
They don't give a crap?
Short.
Oh, okay.
People are short. I wouldn't say they were... I would think they were friendly when I lived there, but now I would think they're short, and it's very much like mind your own business, be general, don't ask too many questions because it's polite not to ask questions.
Okay.
So you can be curious, but don't ask.
Gotcha.
Only offer what you're comfortable with, and don't you dare tell somebody about something that they didn't ask for.
Okay. All right.
So it's very closed, I think.
Okay.
Kind of like the weather. It's like cold, and people are cold.
Rainy, snow, and cold.
Yeah.
About it. Okay.
And then Lancaster is the best one. It's like, you're not from here and we're so sorry about that, but we're not going to invite you in. Like, that was literally like, oh, hi, you're an outsider. How do you like it here? Like, you'll never be part of us, you know?
Sure. Like, that because you're an outsider, that's who you are. That's it. They never kind of tried to integrate you.
Absolutely. It was, you get to be the outsider. You get to be our token outsider.
That's your token outsider. Okay.
Like it was, and it's so, I'm trying to think what the phrase was. There was this phrase, "You're not from here? Oh, we're so sorry about that." That was literally like how people acted.
Wow.
And it was just like they accepted that. And it was very
self-righteous, knowing of their own.
Yeah. It's Amish. When you say that, like it's very Amish there. And it's like,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very frugal, very community oriented, but very structured, almost like a caste system.
Wow.
Like you
Everyone
are
knew
who
their
you
place.
are. You marry your high school sweetheart at the end.
Wow. Okay. That doesn't sound fun.
You can go to college, but you must come back.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a cult. Yeah. We can't let them hear this because then they're gonna find us and knock us off.
It's kind of funny because I feel comfortable telling you these things, and then I think like, how offensive would this be to anybody who like listens to me as like this place? Because like, I definitely like Texas the best, and I think it kind of comes across
awesome.
when I say that, like here, like when you hear that from there. But probably because I don't feel like an outsider here. I think because everybody else is from somewhere else too. Like it's big enough that like there's plenty of people from here, but they accept that people are from other places and they're happy with you that you're here. Like it's like this weird like, oh, you're not here? Well, we're so glad you got here. Like
yeah, it's definitely you get that kind of accepting vibe. It's also doesn't help that we have no state tax. There's no state income tax. Sorry, and property values are super cheap. I was gonna say for the state fair, at least, I understand New York has the bigger ones, but like literally you can go from residential area to like in less than 20 minutes, you can find McMansions and stuff like that, and just these huge, giant castles.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like one of the executives of like petroleum, like an executive.
Oh, he lives here?
He lives across the street from me. And
Are you serious?
The inventor of the Big Bertha golf ball and a Dallas Cowboy all live in my neighborhood.
Are you serious?
Let me be very clear. I am not rich.
Yeah.
My house
is 3 stories tall.
Is normal. I think it is smaller than your house. The house that we're in right now. I think my house is
What? No, it's not. Okay.
It might not
I'm
be,
living in a
like,
1-story house with like, it's like a C. It's in the shape of a C with a patio in the middle of it. It's
okay.
nothing.
But what I'm saying is like my house is not like you wouldn't be like overly impressed.
Sure.
It's like Texas normal. For me, it's gaudy because like I came from New York normal,
right.
Which was
It's Texas
much
normal.
smaller. It's like Texas normal.
Sure.
And yeah, if you go across the street to the lake, like it's these places with their own zip code. Okay. Right. And I'm not even. It's like a mile. Like within a mile, there's just these huge mansions.
Sure.
You're like, oh my goodness. I've never seen wealth like this. To be honest, I did not know that a Lexus existed until I moved to Texas.
Like the Amazon?
No, like a car.
Oh, I thought. Okay, duh,
like that's not even like that's a luxury car, but it's like that's like a Toyota,
sure.
like right? Isn't it? It's just a souped up Toyota.
No, a Lexus is great.
It is great, but it's a Toyota, right? Okay. Like Ford makes Lincoln.
I think, I don't know.
Nissan makes Infiniti.
Sure. You're asking the wrong guy. I like to work on cars and but like in terms of brands and models and the C70 ZX Turbo Twisto, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just saying like, it's like that. Yes. But that's like a luxury vehicle, right? It's a common, Lexus, common luxury vehicle.
You will see if you drive around Dallas, you'll see a lot of Lexuses
and Mercedes and BMWs. Yes. I had seen every time I saw those when I lived up north, I pointed them out because they were rare.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
As in, like, I'd never seen, like, here. It's just like everybody drives one.
So in New York, would you, like, really crappy, like, 1970s cars?
Oh, no. You wouldn't have, like, a 70s car because it'd rust out.
Oh. I mean,
so you'd have, like, a new car, but it looks like an old car.
Sure.
Because it's old. But, like, think, like, Subarus.
Okay.
And Hondas.
Right. Just whatever's cheap and everybody has, like Honda Civics and
and they're always like new, but because you can't have a car older than 5 or 6 years, it just rust. Salt.
What do you mean rust? What?
Salt. It eats cars. It's like cancer.
What are you talking about? A car, just because you have salt on the road doesn't mean the car is gonna.
Yes,
rust.
it does. There is no cars that last more than like 6 or 7 years in upstate.
Really?
Yeah, it dies. Like the engine gets salty, the car gets salty. They die.
It's salty.
They die. Like there's some people who keeps
mad.
their car like they keep their car in the garage in the winter, and you can keep your summer car. But if your car would just die, and you can't like. It's just how it is. Like the cars just don't last. Like nobody has a car for 10 years. I mean, I'd never seen like these old cars until I went to like Ohio, and I was like, how are you driving the same car your mom drove? Like,
yeah.
There you go. There's a fun little culture tidbit for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't have old cars because they didn't last.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's that's the thing that like it's hard to explain to someone like, oh, they salt the roads, and you're like, well, I mean, how can that hurt? And I'm like, because for 3/4 of the year, they're putting down 1.5 inches of salt over every single part of the road, and you're driving on it, and the salt just eats the metal away of your car.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And so you do that for a couple years, and your car, no matter how thick that metal is, it's toast.
All right, you've logicked this conversation. You win.
You can look it up. I'm
gonna look it up, and it'll be like.
Never happened.
Actually, it never happens.
There is no such thing as road salt.
It is all a figment of our imagination.
I was wrong. I wasn't even in New York. I was actually just in a social experiment. It's like the Truman Show is my life.
Yo, that's a really good movie.
I haven't actually seen it, and I just referenced it.
Oh my gosh.
I know the concept of it.
You know what we're going to have to do now, right? We have to watch
Get
it.
beer
and then
watch the Truman Show.
I'm being serious. We're going to do that. Thanks for everybody for listening to the One More Podcast.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we've kind of covered the whole spectrum. I think we went really deep and then really shallow and stuff like that. So I think probably a good ending point. So what I like to do before we end the podcast is kind of do a lightning round.
Okay.
Just a question that you say yes, no, one or the other. That's it. Don't explain it. Whatever it is. So there it is. Mustard or ketchup?
Mustard.
Right. I say mustard as well. Good job. And that is the end of the One More Podcast. I really appreciate everyone listening. I don't know exactly when this is going to come out. I think it's got in the pipeline behind one more. Honestly, I have no idea when the timelines are, so we're going to try and not do outdated references. But anyways, I really appreciate it. Do you have any closing remarks or anything like that you want to say to everyone? Any life advice?
I wish I wasn't so speechless.
It's all good. No, it's okay.
Everywhere you go, people are people.
There you go. That's beautiful.
There you go. They're all people.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great day, night, morning, whenever you're listening to it. And we'll talk to you guys later. Or, well, I guess we'll listen to us later. Sorry. All right. Bye.
Bye.